Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be covering another antagonist within the Outlast universe. I'll be covering your favorite surgeon, Richard Trager.
What are you trying to do? I gave you a chance, man. You know trying to. Well, I can't help somebody who doesn't want to.
The man who cut off your fingers, and not only that, he also wants to cut off your balls and then also your tongue as well. But since you escaped, he should have cut off your leg, am I right?
Yeah, I should have cut his feet first. Amateur move.
I don't have much to say in the beginning of this intro, but if my content interests you, stick around as we're going to dive into who exactly is Richard Trager within Outlast.
I shall deliver your punishment.
Suckers, you think you can break me like that? With an animal carcass?
Is that you, Sweet Pea? You should have burned down this bounty, Talos.
I'll see you soon.
I'm putting that tongue to any use anyway. Truth be told, I was just tired of licking my own stance.
Now, prior to him being committed into the asylum, Trager had short curly hair. He wore a pink dress shirt, his collar was always popped, sleeves was rolled up below his elbow, he had tan slacks, black belt, matching shoes, and he had a dark blue sweater tied around his neck. Now, you may be wondering, where did I get that information? It's all in the comics. As I mentioned in the Chris Walker video, all of the Outlast comics is on the Red Barrel's official website. This particular scene, when you first see Trager, is actually on issue 2, page 10. Now, he is talking to two Markov agents in that picture that I was mentioning, and I think it's the same two that was dealing with Chris Walker, so Paul and Pauline, and they advised that Trager got his hair caught in like a paper shredder and it was ripped out, and that's why he looks the way that he does with his hair, a few strands and a scarred scalp. Now, of course, as anyone who has been admitted into the Mount Massive Asylum, they go through the morphogenic engine. Unfortunately, with him going through there, he had a drastic change that made him disfigured. He became withered, bony, with several scars running down his body. Along with that, he also had his lower lip be torn off, and he has a slight lisp.
Who's down there? You're not one of them, are you? Quick, get in the dumbwaiter if you want to live!
Now, diving into his personality, when you first encounter him, when he's talking to you through the dumbwaiter, he comes off very friendly, very upbeat, very positive.
Let me sell you the dream! Hold up there, buddy. I'll be right with you. No, I love the mountain air up here at night. You want to head out and take a stroll? Go ahead, I'll wait here. Go on, run free. I'm in no hurry. No? All right. Nose to the grindstone, I like that. Okay then, right this way.
Because he wants to help you, and, you know, want to help you. I'm saying that very loosely, because by the time you get up there, he's beating you up and putting you in the wheelchair.
You made the right choice here, bud. Hey, you're that bullshit priest's guy, aren't you? His witness or whatever. You must be exhausted. Well, let's take a break, huh, buddy? The old 2-martini lunch? Have a little confab, blah, blah. Heavier than you look. A little cardio wouldn't kill you. Okay, here we go, arms and legs inside the car at all times.
And wheeling you into the next room to test out an experiment to make sure that you are believing.
You know, I'm a bit worried how much time you've been spending with Father Martin. I hope you haven't been letting him confuse you with all this holier-than-thou Bible thumping. No offense to the man, but I sometimes worry he might just be a little bit crazy. It's understandable. I mean, people get scared. They're as like to turn to God as anything else. I mean, God died with the gold standard. We're on to a more concrete faith now. You have to rob Paul to pay Peter. There's no other way. Murder is the simplest form, but what happens when all money is gone? Well, money becomes a matter of faith. And that's what I'm here for. To make you believe. You paying attention? Don't pass out on me. There's a lot for you to absorb.
He's very similar to Gluskin in a way, because Gluskin's the same way. He's a very upbeat and kind man who wants to have a family, but then the moment he sees you, he's beating you up. So he has a very interesting persona, because he masks his true persona by being this upbeat and kind man, but then by the time you see him, he's very murderous. He's a psychopath like everyone else in the Mount Massive Asylum. Trager always muttering, and the notes reveal that he is obsessed with making money. Anything that he can do, he can make a profit, and he truly believes that making a profit is what matters.
Better, right? You understand how we cheat here? We made the consumer into the means of production. This thing is gonna sell itself.
So he has an obsession with biology and making a profit being his two major obsessions. He finds it necessary to cut up his victims and gain money by selling the severed parts. So for example, when he cuts off Miles' fingers, he's going to take them and sell them for money because he's going to make a profit. Now he comes off very, polite in an upper class personality. As I mentioned earlier, very similar to Mr. Gluskin. Trager gets upset. He starts screaming profanity, rants, and he hates quitters.
Hey, nobody likes a quitter. Thanks so much for coming by. We'll begin your consultation in a moment. We'll just need a second to wash up and, movies. And it'll give us a chance to talk.
Now let's dive into this crazy backstory of Trager. So before his involuntary commitment to Mount Massive Asylum, he was the head of business development and an executive of research development for Murkoff Corporation and Mount Massive Asylum. On top of that, he was also friends with Jeremy, which is later revealed in a documentation within the game that proves that they were not only companions, but they used to play golf together. With all that being said, prior to the events of Outlast and Outlast Whistleblower, Pauline and Paul are investigating an HR complaint at Mount Massive Asylum, and they encounter Trager. Now, Trager is saying that he's a team player, and he wants them two to be on Team Rick because he believes that no one in his department is the one that filed the complaint to HR. Paul signals to Colleen, basically saying that Trager is dirty as hobo shit, which is crazy to think about, but I mean, like, I don't blame him. However, for them to obtain more information, Pauline asks Trager, could those two meet up for dinner? He accepts it. So they go to this restaurant. Trager is explaining his whole childhood, and he opens up about how his father was trying to convince him not to become a doctor. However, after the dinner, Trager and Pauline decide to go back to his place. I wouldn't have went back to his place if I was her, but I mean, this is Outlast. They're trying to get some information on this man because of the HR complaint, so they just have to do what they got to do. She goes back to his house. He offers her cocaine, and she declines. Then he offers her scotch, and she also declines that as well. It's pretty evident on what he was trying to do, but I don't understand why he thought that he could do that and it wouldn't trace back to him. However, she decides to decline both offers. Do not blame her. And then she favors for red wine. However, while he's busy getting the wine ready for them from the cellar, mind you, she is searching his house, and she ends up finding internet passwords. She finds a magazine guide on how to perform surgery and a pamphlet on an abortion clinic. Now he comes back upstairs, they're drinking, and apparently she recognized a sour taste, and she realized that Trager spiked her drink, which I'm not surprised because you went to the cellar to go get the wine, so of course he's gonna spike the drink when you're not looking. Now, in response to that happening, Pauline pulls out her gun and she aims it at his genitals, forcing him to drink the rest of the drug scotch. Trager's now passed out immediately, and she calls Paul to come pick her up from Trigger's house. We're coming to the end of this crazy background for Trigger. So fast forward, Pauline and Paul leaves Trigger's house and then they go confront this Murkoff employee named Michelle. Michelle is pregnant and she is the one who leaked the information to them when it came to the HR complaint that I mentioned earlier. Now, Trigger raped Michelle and got her pregnant. And when he found out, he gave her an ultimatum of either you get an abortion or you get fired. So in Michelle's head, she thought that sending out an email about the complaint would have Trigger get investigated, blamed, and eventually fired instead of her getting fired or getting the abortion. Based off of what I've seen in the comics and what I've read, I'm assuming that Michelle didn't want to get an abortion because she was more so worried about losing her job and not having the finances to support her child. To keep Michelle quiet, Paul decided to offer her a severance package so she can take care of her child and she no longer had to work for Murkoff. Michelle agreed to the package and she decided to visit Jeremy, and she wanted to revoke her security clearance because she would no longer be working for Murkoff. However, during that encounter, Trigger barges into the room. I don't understand why this man was not in jail or that he wasn't put up somewhere else, but he barges into the room. He calls Paul and Pauline lying bitches, claimed that Michelle cannot prove anything, even though she can get a DNA test and that would prove that the baby is his. But instead, he decided to grab a pair of scissors because we all know that his primary weapon in the game was those big ass scissors that cut off Miles' hands. He grabs some scissors and he stabs her in the stomach multiple times, leaving her severely wounded. Now, I don't know if she died or not. I will have to double check in the comics and also all the online articles that I've been reading to confirm that. However, Paul attacks Trigger and tackles him to the ground, and during that scuffle, Trigger ends up stabbing himself in the leg. Pauline, on the other hand, is grabbing Trigger by the neck, and she's the one who ran his head against a paper shredder, and that paper shredder ripped out his long hair and scarring his scalp in the process. Now, as I mentioned earlier in his physical appearance, this is what led to that to happen. Like, Trigger just lost his mind because Michelle told them what he did and he did not like that. After all of that happened, he was finally apprehended and taken in as an inmate, and then he was used for a test subject for the morphogenic engine. Just like every other antagonist within the Outlast universe, and his so-called friend, he was personally watching as Trigger was being dragged into the machine, kicking and screaming. Jeremy is nowhere to be found in Outlast. He's only shown in Outlast Whistleblower. So I would love to see these two have an interaction in the game at some point.
Where are the survivors? Where are the sharks? I've been chumming the water long enough.
Now, ending this video off with some random trivia regarding Trigger. So within the documentation that you find for Trigger, we find out Trigger has an email address. I mean, you can try emailing it to see if a message gets through to him, but here's his email if you'd love to email Richard Trigger about any of the crazy things that he did at Mount Massive Asylum. Another piece of trivia about him is that it was implied that after cutting off Miles' fingers, he was going to cut off his genitals and then his tongue, but Miles escaped, so he didn't do that. This ties into Outlast 2 a little bit, but it's only an Easter egg, but there is a written message of torture methods that is referencing this exact thing. Two more random pieces of trivia. So Trigger is Miles' first victim throughout the entire game. Now, Trigger is also one of the 5 main antagonists that appears in both Outlast and also Outlast Whistleblower. This also includes Father Martin, Chris Walker, the Wall Rider, and also the twin. Now, I will do a video on the twins, not yet. I still got to look up more information regarding the twins, but the twins, their video will definitely be coming out soon. And that is all that I have for today's video. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching my content. If you enjoyed the video, give me a huge thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment comment down below your favorite Outlast antagonist. Who would you like for me to cover next? If you're still interested in me doing an Outlast comic book summary series on this channel, comment that down below as well, and I will make videos dedicated to only the comic book. And if you are actively playing the Outlast trials, good luck on your therapy, and I'll see you next time.
This is a little extra.